Hello, my name is Reg, and you're watching Shattered Dungeons. Somewhere. Hello, Reg.
We are back.
That's a handsome man you got up there, just want you to know.
Welcome, everybody. If you didn't know, we are Shattered Dungeons. We play an indie RPG every Tuesday night called Shatter Dawn for everyone to enjoy. And tonight is the episode 2, sorry, my bad, Arc 2 recap episode 50 of Arc 2.
We're only recapping episode 2.
Yes, episode 2.
This has become a very long form podcast where we
yes.
talk about one episode every time.
Yeah.
2 episodes.
So
just 2.
We have to milk engagement.
Yeah. So just as a heads up of how we are going to do this, from a formatting standpoint, we are going to take a guided tour through Arc 2, answering all questions from chat. And then towards the end of the episode, we'll kind of do a where are they now for each of our characters. And then finally, as we get ready to end the episode, we will simply take a peek at what Arc 2.5 and Arc 3 have in store for us. So, all that to say, don't forget to subscribe on Twitch, to follow on Twitch, to become a patron on our Patreon page, to be a subscriber on YouTube, and follow us on Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter. Keep coming back to that Twitch thing. Really watch us live, everybody listening.
Do it.
Yes. And then do not forget to check out the opaloutletshop.com. opaloutletshop.com for miniatures and the like. Now, real quick, let's just kind of jump on into our characters, just for those of you who may be joining us for the first time or watching this to see what the heck happened in Arc 2. So tonight we will have Nikina, played by Jordan.
I mean, technically, I sound like this now, but you might recognize this voice a little better.
That's the voice that we came to tolerate.
Barely.
Yeah.
Begrudgingly. The voice you know and loathe.
Yes, accuracy. Brand is played by Lauren.
Oh, hey y'all, I'm Brand, and I have a kingdom to take over.
Yes, we'll get to that, don't worry. We have Callisto, who is played by Heather.
Good evening, everyone. I cannot believe I did not die.
And the moral compass of our group, Flynn, who is played by Dion.
The moral compass, our group was totally screwed. We were morally bankrupt if I was the morals this arc, as I was just happy doing whatever Belfief said. So.
The kiss of death guy is the moral Chewy center. We are
tasty nougat.
Yeah, I'm sure Belfief probably told you to do that too.
I guess I'm the
maybe.
nut clusters.
Kiss and kill.
So, real quick, we're going to start kind of, again, this is going to be a guided tour through Arc 2. Ask any and all questions, please.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to establish canon that Belfief is the one who taught Flynn the kiss and stab.
Okay.
Considering he did the stab, he did the stab to Karnar. I like to think there was a kiss involved.
Oh my!
Like
it was
the Italian, the mobster goodbye, and he stabbed him that way.
What's funny about that moment, looking back on it, is when that happened, Belfief stabbed Karnar from behind, which means to do that he would have had to on the earlobe, maybe the back of the neck or something,
nibble, like a horse.
Really gross. So the very beginning, okay, when we were creating characters for Arc 2, is the character that you ended up with the character you sought to create?
Pretty much,
Dion is shaking his head wildly no. Dion, what was different from the character you aimed to create versus how Flynn ended up being?
The skills, actually. I was planning on going hardcore into the phasing stuff. I was going to do a lot of hand-to-hand stuff. And in that very first episode, there was 5 of us doing hand-to-hand combat. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna not advance this one anymore.
Yeah.
I think the trick is not everyone was planning to go the distance with it. I mean, I know that was and I literally, from the second we said what character ideas, I said I'm making Goku, I'm going hand to hand. But for like level 1, you have no equipment. Hand to hand is the like best offensive and defensive advancement you can take.
Yeah, it's pretty even across the board for sure. Now, it is important to note for everyone who watched Arc 2, multiple things were happening, and I think this may help kind of peel back some behind the scenes stuff. But as we're playing through Arc 2, we began really with the Arc 1.5 playtesting some elements for not only second edition, but also an expansion that is centered around the Azure itself. And so with that, there were 3 advancement trees that were new to the game that each one of you at some point or another got to playtest for me. Phasing was one of them, and I feel like a lot of you guys early on used it. It was cool to see what the Grandmaster phasing looks like from Nikina. But also Jensar had what was called Azuremancy, or is called, and so we saw in early episodes he would build bridges, he would move the ground and stuff. Very helpful and convenient until he decided to get killed.
When we remembered.
Yeah, and he would hold on to that info too, which was, say what you will.
Right.
Yes. It was very funny after the fact, though. And then
we'll nearly die crossing one chasm, and then right after we finally, we made it, Ray's like, oh, by the way, I make a bridge for myself.
Yes.
I'll let you all lived.
The other advancement tree that he also playtested was I forget what it's called now. Oh, get out of here, Windows Update.
Please let me into your life.
Didn't he have the one where he could make pets?
Yes, that one. I forget what that one's called now, but basically
Wilderness.
you could. No, that was something different. What he would do, I'm gonna find it real quick. But that advancement tree let him learn how to become animals. And he could graft parts of them to himself. So like at higher levels, he could sprout wings if he wanted to, or blue skidoo into like a dragon if he wanted to. Yeah,
he's like
shape
an
change.
Arthurian druid.
Yep.
I feel like Rafe was like real heavy into the idea at first, and I was excited to see where he's going to take it. And then for some reason, at some point, we just never saw it again.
He died.
He used a bit. I mean, when we switched over, he was taking stuff for like the cats. Remember the panthers or whatever?
Yeah.
So he was constantly collecting.
Sorry,
he was collecting things, but he wasn't using this. Like once we made it to like started that chunk, I guess his final arc for that character, he just stopped using the skill, and it was like, oh, okay.
So I got it backwards. Azuremancy is the ability to become animals and all that stuff. Archetism was creating bridges and stuff. Hey, Michaela, wow. So that was pretty cool to watch people playtest. Just like in the last episode, we got to see Sog playtest for me some chaos magic, and so that was fun because that's something.
Is that just magic you don't understand?
Kind of.
I was just gonna say we have a very interesting, spirited debate about French fries in chat.
I see
For those
that.
of you
That's wonderful.
listening and not being able to see, the debate initially is about the best type of fry, which I stand curly fries. But the idea of frazzermancy, which is the ability to become different types of fries,
There's
is
a lot of
amazing.
different types of fry.
There really are, yeah. So
That's suicidal, though, right? Frazzermancy, you turn yourself into a different type of fries, and someone's gonna eat you.
that's
I mean, we
a-
already know that turning
See, then
yourself
you
into
turn your-
bacon.
Then you turn yourself into a
Something-
rancid fry, and they die, and then I don't know.
Well, you die too, right?
You know,
I think you might get
to
thrown
some-
away, which, I mean, man, this
Wait.
debate in chat is spirited.
who batters fries?
You've never had like rallies or checkers fries?
Checkers
Checkers
rallies.
are those curly.
Yeah, those are
fries.
like battered fries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the seasoned fries are basically battered.
Yeah, or Denny's
Little
seasoned
coat of
fries.
Well, I would.
on your
Okay,
potato.
so when I talk curly fries, I specifically mean like the Rally's Checkers fries are my top tier fry.
Wait, but that's not a curly fry.
Oh, there's a different type of fry there.
Yeah, it's like the curly fries
If
from
you
Arby's.
excuse me, I need to hit the old nasty tray.
He
I have some
just
fast food joints to hit.
He
I'm
found
gonna
some
leave-
life-changing information.
I'm gonna leave the children sleeping in their beds. They're fine.
Bring him some back.
They won't wake
Oh,
up,
dear.
probably.
Wait. Chat saying mashed potatoes are some of the worst.
Wait.
That's inaccurate.
No, that's because somebody said mashed potatoes was fries.
Wait.
Is that?
Technically, you can use mashed potatoes to create home fries, which is really just a potato pancake. So don't.
Be a hash-
That's not really
be a hash
fries.
brown.
That wouldn't be fries.
If you mashed potato, turned it into a patty, and then fried it, isn't that not a hash brown?
Well, a hash brown would be shredded potato and then baked into a cake.
Potato.
But baked into a cake, so you still have like the shredded chunks.
You know what? My hot take.
Oh, mashed
gnocchi.
potatoes are greater than fries.
Ooh.
Is what?
Gnocchi
I had some good
is
gnocchi
the
last
best
week.
fry. Period. Eat that, chat. Ha.
That's just Bengals. I don't know.
So, going back to some of what we were talking about before chat invaded with fries, when you first started Arc 2, what was your thoughts? In Arc 1, we had a brief jaunt into the Azure, so you could kind of guess some things. Did you feel like it had a radically different tone than Arc 1 did? And if so, what did you like and dislike about it?
I feel like it had a different tone. I mean, there was a different world, I guess.
Yeah, you had to take a portal to get anywhere.
I think there's more direction in Arc 2. Like there was more story progression and less open world type feeling for me in Arc 2. But we also didn't take a lot of initiative
Yeah.
in some cases. So some of that is us not trying to explore as much in Arc 2. But yeah, I think it felt completely different than Arc 1, 100%.
There's more like intrigue, double crossing, kind of like, oh, now you have to go over here and do the thing. Like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, I
Who's
wasn't
who's that
frustrated,
man?
but I was like, wow, there's a lot of circles we're going in to never get what you're supposed to be getting. There's always one more thing.
Yeah.
One more team.
So it was pretty funny when we set out to do this arc because I had to work backwards. I knew the last 3 episodes, what they were going to be when we started, and then I had to fill in the middle area. And some episodes came like nothing. Like, oh yeah, easy. This is exactly what needs to happen. And then others were like, I got nothing. You're in an escape room. Okay.
I liked the escape room.
Good. I'm glad.
Oh yeah, the times when we had riddles and stuff, I was like, oh, this could take a while.
Yeah.
I like the change of pace though.
Let's just kill them all.
We just shoot our way out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, it definitely we had more. I guess a way to put it is with Belfief there, we had from the ground, from hitting the ground with Arc 2, we had a more structured focus of someone saying, "This is your objective. This is what you need to do." And it was us approaching a problem to solve it, as opposed to Arc 1 where they're like, "Hey, these bad guys are after you. What do you want to do?" And we're like, we could hide here, we could go here, we could go and kill them. Like, it definitely, each arc had us thinking in a different way. So it definitely had a vastly different feeling. But for me, I spent a year being Reg, like both in the arc and then on my own stream. That when it was, oh, you're not gonna be Reg anymore, I literally was like, I don't know if I can do this. I wasn't sure when we started in the beginning if Reg would succeed at all. And then I got my footing, I felt comfortable, and people liked Reg. And I'm like, I don't know if, am I gonna be a one-hit wonder? Is there gonna be anything memorable about me doing my shenanigans? And I think I chose to take Nikina intentionally in a non-Reg direction by being, having this voice and being kind of like your annoying kid brother, just to force myself to play it differently. And I like to think it kind of did okay, besides Tofu trying to kill me.
If Reg lived in... Go ahead, Heather.
They tried to kill you a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if Reg was famous, Nikina was infamous. Yes. So one of the
you're the worst character I've ever heard of. But you have heard of me.
Yeah. So one of the things that I really like from running games is watching how people create different characters to mix it up. And then there are some people who don't ever want to do that. None of you who are on this show as regular cast members play the same character all the time. I'll just throw that out there now.
Ray doesn't play the same character from episode to episode.
Not wrong.
So, what's he doing today?
So a great example is in Arc 1 we had Lutz, who was played by Cliff, who helped us develop Shattered Dawn and do the Kickstarter, all that fun stuff. Lutz is the same character Cliff has always played, period, no matter what game we've ever played. Okay.
Also the birth of Yoo-hoo.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Frank. So that being said, you guys, I've noticed, take a really good approach to making different and unique characters. As far as from Arc 1 to Arc 2, those being your mainstay characters, what did you do differently to make your unique character? We'll start with Lauren, since Jordan's muted.
I feel like, and going back to like your first question, I feel like I did fail a little bit at like keeping the character that I set out. I sort of slid back into mom mode a little bit because with PAX, it was very like, I played it very safe. It was a very like fairly moral centric character until it was Dark PAX, and that was actually a ton of fun. But I really wanted Bran to be more histrionic, and I think as I got tired towards if I was just tired that night, it was just a lot harder for me to bring that just super histrionic, like, we're all gonna die, oh wait, everything's wonderful. I wanted something completely opposite of PAX, but I still I struggle being like bad unless everyone knows like I'm just a bad character. So I definitely want to play like just a super evil character at some point.
Good news! We have Arc 3 coming up, and we'll explain a little bit about that, and I'll read you guys the introduction so you can make some choices. Now, Dion, what about you? With Flynn, you play a similar way, obviously, and that's one thing that the just nature of human beings. We all have a certain style, but I feel like Flynn and Caden are very different, but they kind of follow some similar mannerisms. So
I would say that Caden was more ambitious and he wanted to accomplish things in life. And my initial goal with Flynn was to explore the Lamkai side of it, and I never even brought that part into it. You know, he was a demon baby, and I never used any of that. I didn't seek out other demon babies, which was what I originally wanted to do with the character. I wanted to do hand-to-hand. I wanted to do phasing because those two things went well together. And I wanted to seek out other demon babies and maybe throw a wrench or two into the party dynamics a bit once I synced up with my demon babies. But after I changed the my direction for Flynn early on in terms of combat, and then I started getting used to this Bell Thief character, I really kind of liked just being what I felt was an evil henchman. Okay, so
that's the vibe I got from you.
Yeah, I didn't think we were good people. I thought we were really playing bad people, but it turned out we were playing good people. I didn't know what Bell Thief's objectives were, but that basically set my direction morality-wise, right? I liked him, so I just followed what he did, and I supported him. And if you guys would have done something drastically bad against Bell Thief, then we probably would have had some clashing within the story arc, similar to what happened with Rog in the first one.
Yeah. and that's something that, honestly, as I was setting up scenarios and writing dialogue and stuff like that, I would try and take into account Flynn's character because you had been playing him like a henchman. And because I remember, I think the first time you said it of like, he pays the bills, so I'm going to do what he tells me to do. I was like, oh, okay, we're going that route with this. Okay, I'm on board. And then even later, towards the very end, you know, right up until the very end, I felt like you really had that character's back. And there was so much doubt going around of, are we doing the right thing? Is this the right path we should follow? Are we resolute associates of Bell Thief, or are we like kind of doing our own thing and try not to rock the boat? You helped steer the direction of the group towards following Bell Thief's whim, which was, you know, oftentimes when I write multiple paths, and so having that, what my intended path would have been, you kind of helped see that through for me. So that was super helpful from a writing standpoint. But I kind of would have liked to see what would happen if with Caden it was just fireball to the face one after the other. Especially Flynn with the essence axe, you know, just, you know, cutting people in two. Now, Heather, for Callisto's character, when you started, I'd say we were probably halfway through Arc 1, I want to say, when Chivi was introduced. And Chivi had a very, you know, sisterly bond with the Queen. She was kind of a henchman, all that stuff, in a way. But with this character, Callisto, you played someone who effectively had a level of amnesia, and so it oftentimes would feel like you were in the moment, that you understood what was going on, but you lacked the experiential resource to make a decision on certain things. And that was really interesting to watch with like with Brand or Flynn or even with Jensar, because I could tell on your face what you wanted to do, but there were certain times where you opted not to go that route because of Callisto's personality traits. What was that like, role-playing a character with a significant level of amnesia?
It made it a little easier because if I didn't know what to do, I would just forget, kind of like hiding behind a rock. And then I intended to really take her to the highest level of magical spells and everything, but I just couldn't figure out how I was ever going to do any damage. So I don't know. I just kind of, I figured she would have all these spells written on her body and she'd remember them all, but I don't know. I just couldn't quite figure it out. So I decided I'd just argue with Belfieth and shoot my bow and arrow.
There you go. I like the flying carpet edition.
I really wanted that flying carpet.
Yeah.
We need
missed it.
We need a few like Final Fantasy games. You need a few elements that stay the same no matter who's there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We need a flying carpet, a talking head.
So
On the carpet.
this is going to be a fun one. This is going to be me basically grilling you guys on certain things to see what actually stuck. Swifty is what's called a furcrin. Describe a furcrin.
They look like a big
Beautiful
roach.
creature
Porcupine pig.
with a great heart.
I thought of them more like kind of like a giant boar. Like they're bigger than boars, right? They're like smaller than donkeys, or maybe they're close to a donkey size, and they have tusks.
Yeah, that's the thing. I remember there being lots of tusks mentioned.
I thought it was like a cross between a porcupine and a pig.
So the furcrin is a scaly, six-legged mouse with 6 eyes.
Mouse?
Yep.
Wow.
I don't
I thought it was a lot
remember that
bigger than
description.
mouse.
So this was the first creature you guys encountered, besides the dogs, the Corphone, that attacked you in the very first episode. This was the first episode you guys got to try and use your wilderness abilities to tame a creature, and it was the 6-legged scale mouse. This one should
was a
be
new
it.
one.
Yeah. What does a Baileon look like? For
Big
reference,
beetle bug.
Baileon
Bug.
is biscuits and gravy.
They're
Was
big
that
beetle
the roach?
bugs.
Cow bug.
Yeah.
A cow bug.
They're giant roaches, right? That can carry stuff.
Yep. It is a 8-legged creature with 2 long pincers on its front legs, has a large meaty body, and is used for meat in the Azure.
When we first
Boy
started,
for
I would go
love.
look up everything we fought, its rating and everything, and then that just dwindled.
So Swifty didn't have tusks. Why do I think he had tusks?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Well,
I thought
so
he did.
He had tusks.
So Swifty and the Baileon were the first creatures you guys encountered, literally in the first episode. So I kind of anticipated those two kind of becoming an amalgamation of one another. Now, in subsequent episodes, you guys got to fight some really fun, interesting creatures that I developed.
Thank you.
Yes, what is the one that you remember the most?
Oh, the giant hands and eyes is definitely gonna.
Okay,
stay in my brain
Vakrabon doesn't
forever.
count.
Doesn't it?
That's
Even
burned
doesn't it?
into your memory, and it's fairly recent. I mean, before that.
That's
The
called
only thing
trauma.
I
Trying to think
can
what-
really always picture is Flynn kissing that girl and stabbing her.
Those were
What
elephants.
All
else
that
did we
just-
fight?
Stays there.
Wasn't there like that giant esque monster that like almost practically started one-shotting all of us?
Yeah.
Was that the spider one?
No, it was like a
No. Yeah, it was something because I remember we were scaling the side of a cliff to get away from it or something. Is that the one you're talking about?
Oh, there was a sand bug thing.
Yes,
That's
like a
exact-
doom worm.
Yeah,
There's that.
I'm
one
looking
too.
at.
the Muntrivore.
There was
I was talking about a different one,
Munchie.
but yeah.
Yeah, that
the
one was the.
Aziluth.
Oh yeah, the Aziluth.
That was invisible.
The Muntrivore is the worm from
Yeah.
Tremors.
Beetlejuice.
Oh, that one.
Oh, I
Yeah.
was thinking the Star Wars. one, but
Beetlejuice,
yeah.
Tremors, Star
Oh, the Star-
Wars, Dune, you name it.
Big
Yes.
worm burrows through mountains.
Yep.
What-
That was awful.
I'm glad I could create creatures from your nightmare. Oh, good. Tasmanian Devil's here on Jordan's screen.
Creatures for your nightmares.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
What is the single most memorable thing that your character did in Arc 2? Dion, let's start with you because I think we know.
Clearly, you guys will go with the kiss of death on that one. I don't think anybody was expecting me to kill her, which I thought was the obvious goal of setting them up. And keep in mind, I didn't want to kill anybody. To be fair, I didn't want to kill anybody, but they were pretty bent on making sure we free these fire elementals or something that they had captive. And they
Brand
want to.
needed to free her opposed kin.
Yeah, so
Just
I
filthy
think
name.
why it was such a memorable moment, besides the actual event, is that in context to the rest of us, we're unsure of how we're gonna do this. We're still thinking, and you're chatting up this lady guard, and it's like, oh, you guys are flirting. You guys are getting a lot. Like all of a sudden, the tension turns to like, oh, is he just gonna like win her over and maybe get a little
No.
romance? Like, oh, that's neat. So we go to kiss. Oh, they're kissing, and I stab her.
Blammo.
Like it was such a hard left turn. that
Taken off guard.
Unforgettable.
It was so impactful and amazing. And
well, the kiss was important for me to prevent her from screaming. The only reason I went in for the
and that was the thing.
was to smother her mouth so that she couldn't scream.
With my mouth.
That was part of our confusion because I think after it happened, we're like, but you were kissing her, and you're like, I had to muffle the screams. Like, oh my god,
He's very practical.
Yeah.
you sociopath.
I like that it showed from the very beginning you knew you were going to murder this lady. Like
Very much.
The romance was like second fiddle. You knew as soon as you walked over, she gone. What about you, Heather? What was for your character? What was the single most memorable thing that happened for Arc 2?
Finding the cocoa bean the first time.
That
Like-
was wonderful.
And the chocolate. That was exciting.
I liked that.
Your eyes lit up.
Yeah. So anytime, especially like at the end of an act, if you will, I tried to throw it in so that you had some level of excitement. Like, oh my gosh, I'm on this trajectory of finding the thing I've been searching for. My favorite chocolate. Speaking on that, do you remember? Do you know what I'm about to say?
Maybe.
It's the one where you grab what looked like a chocolate bar and it turns out it was dirt. You just
Which I was
started
probably
nomming.
used to.
Oh, yeah.
Not chocolate.
Always hopeful.
Lauren, what about you?
I mean, I think definitely the whole finding the mother thing, and that was like
good.
when that came out of your mouth. I was just like,
Dude,
oh, I'm sorry. This is like in that moment I decided, nope. No, this is not going to be a friendly family reunion. Brand is not about this. Like, she's much more practical. Nope.
You can keep
You are
her.
not my mother.
You don't want to say hi to your mom?
Might have considered it up until she said that she never looked for you.
yeah, that was like, oh, that hurts a bit. So, well, if I remember correctly, the seeds of this is Brand's mom happened at like they weren't before we met her. As we meet her, And then when it's either the conversation with her or talking to like other people just in between the next conversation, where that info drops and the rest of us like lit up like a Christmas tree. As soon as David did that voice, I knew all the wheels clicked in my head. I'm like, that's Bran's mom, and this is hilarious. I love everything that's happening here.
I think at that moment, it was sort of like the decision was made of like Bran, like this is part of her deal is like she wants family. She wants to find people that are like her because she was raised with people who weren't anything like her. And now that she's found people that look like her but are so totally like, it was like, no, Brand is on her, like she's on her own now. She's a loner. Like that's just how things are going to be now.
So one of the things that I really liked about that is you would constantly bring up like, I want to find my mom, stuff like that. And one of my favorite ways to do that is to give you what you're looking for, but also not at all what you're looking for. You know?
David is just the living embodiment of a monkey's paw.
Although her dad was pretty great. I was like, that was kind of cool.
So that's one thing that I wanted to do with that. As soon as you made it your life's mission to kind of find your mom, and I knew already I was going to have you guys hit all of the very, save for the electrical based land, I guess.
Forget those people.
Yeah, I knew you were going to hit the realm of the Ice Queen, and I knew early on that I wanted Bran to be a princess because why not? She's just like good old country. Hey y'all! Shooting ice around, hiding under rocks, hiding behind Baileon. Oh, by the way, she's royalty. And so when that happened, I knew you were going to hate it. Or you were going to really love it, and I was fine with either. But I also had figured that I was going to also have Bran be daughter to the Fire King, so that you being raised by fire elementals wasn't completely outlandish, you know? But then I also, at the later episode, decided Gorik was also the daughter of the Flame, or the son of the Flame King. So it turns out you had family the whole time. But it's all family you hated.
Inbred middle
Did you?
I do not claim these people.
That's not really inbred. They're like two separate, almost species that came together to make Bran. But is it worse that she has two parents from two different groups, and neither one of them decided to raise her?
Yeah.
Yep. And I can write that off however I want, but the fact of the matter is both your parents sucked, Brand.
You did that, okay?
That is a thing that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Jordan, for Nicanor, what is the single most memorable thing that Nicanor did for you?
So I've got two things, and it's the two aspects of the character. There is my favorite bit, and then there is my favorite character moment. And the favorite bit was realizing and getting to follow through with the opportunity of, hey, Gorik, if you guys eat rocks and then you poop a rock, like that was one of those moments. Sometimes I have an in-character joke and it makes sense to make that joke. Other times I can just say what Jordan is thinking without realizing that it's in character, and literally just, I wonder if they eat their poop was a me thing that just came out of Nicanor. And then I was like, oh, I love this. I have to steer into it. And I mean, we still were making references to it at the very end. So like, it was a really fun, comedic through line. But for those of you that might not remember when we talked about it briefly, or weren't around for the conversation, Nicanor becoming a werewolf was my idea. I wanted him to take that. Oh, thank you, Besperode, for 20 months of Prime subscription.
Wow, 20 months.
But it was an idea I came up with in a direction I wanted to take his character into, forcing him into some realism and to confront his upbringing and his viewpoint and how he handles things, and for it to be tied in. I didn't know at the time that Ray was like, kill Jensar. So it just happened to coincide with the same moment of Nikita failing to save Jensar and turning into it became this mixture of this perfect moment for galvanizing the second half of what I wanted his character to be. Because I knew from the beginning that I wanted that arc. I wasn't sure how I wanted to let it grow. And as soon as we came up with the werewolf idea, I was like, there we go.
Now, Ray's not with us tonight. He has some family business he's tending to. But I will ask you all, and I think I know the answer. What's the most memorable Jensar moment that you guys have? Yeet! Bah! All right, that's what I thought. The explosion without heeding his comrade's safety. What about Wog?
I think what led up to
that was good too. Yeah.
Despite Ray's cavalier attitude, let's put it that way, for safety, I think part of what made that moment as bad as it was is, and I think all of us have kind of had a moment of mixing up the two with the system, is the difference between radius and diameter. And when Ray heard how big the explosion was, he was thinking one when it was actually like, oh, that's the diameter. No, that's the radius. You're all in it.
Yeah.
So he thought it was a good move at the moment until as soon as David started laughing, we knew we were in trouble.
At least once it worked out okay.
Yeah, and really you only need just the one, so.
Yeah.
It worked out okay.
No, it didn't. It had lasting repercussions.
You survived.
True.
Turned me into a babysitter. I didn't want to be a
I noticed that.
I don't.
So,
Are you talking about the ducks?
No,
keeping Jensar away from explosions became a full-time job.
Right.
Yeah.
The ducks was fun.
Ducks.
I love the ducks.
So,
Even though I was a duck.
I think instead of that being like what's a single character moment, you remember it's like our party moment is the ducks.
Back to the single character though, what was your favorite Wog experience?
Favorite's a strong word.
What is the most memorable Wog experience?
What about tongue use?
What was that, Heather?
Just when we met him, like, it's a frog? That sounds like that?
It's a frog that's a Wog.
Yeah.
It's also Sog.
It was a song. Then it's a Wog. From the
Tongue.
bug.
Oh yeah, his voice
Yeah.
is funny.
Dion, the
I feel
tongue
like
as a
Wog-
weapon was very funny.
Yeah, it was trippy.
Yeah. It was like a lasso, but different.
The ultimate hand-to-hand.
Yeah.
Tongue hand.
What were you about to say, Lauren?
I was just like, Wog was the best in those like bar situations, because in Arc 1 we had Reg, and Reg would just march up to people and be like, hello, my name is Reg, and who is you? You know, and you could just sort of like set him loose and be like, find some information.
Who's a good boy? Go get him. Go get him.
Yeah. And Wog was, I don't know, Wog was pretty good at, he'd just go in and he'd get
Meeting
slapped
people.
or whatever, and you're like, okay, we're just gonna
So
stand in
he's
the
like
corner
the
and watch him.
chaotic balance to Reg.
Yeah.
We had the yin and now we have the yang.
Yeah.
So, obviously, with running a show like this and doing really any role-playing game like this, there's a little behind-the-scenes stuff that happens. One of those things is talking to players as someone who's running a game when there's a crucial idea that's had, or hey, I really want my character to do X, Y, and Z. I have gotten from Ray so many of those, hey, I want this character to die. or something to that effect. And I think everyone at some point gets to a point with their character where, they love and appreciate the character, but it might just be like, I've kind of done all I can with this and want to change a pace. And that's completely natural, obviously. But I remember when he messaged me about, hey, I got this other character concept and I don't feel like I can do much with Jensar. I want Jensar to die. I was like, okay, I have a really great idea about how he can die because I had written the episode already. Here's what you need to do to ensure your character dies. And so he did it. And
I didn't know that part of it. That was intentional.
Yeah, so he knew he was gonna die, but even with Rog, when the Cadence stuff happened, like he knew there was a real chance he was gonna die. With Wog, when he drove that thing into the Vakarbahn, the explosive carriage, we hadn't talked about that ever. That was a very real, are you sure you want to do this moment, which very rarely happens in our group. And so to watch him resolutely say, I trust my plot armor, I'm going down, I was like, I don't know what to tell you. This 1,500 point explosion kills everything, and it incinerates you. But that was really funny. Is that what he said?
We don't die on the show?
Yeah, he didn't say that, but it was like a couple episodes later.
Chat will take care of me.
Yeah, that was
like, why did
proudly declared.
How much do they love me?
And he said this after trying to kill Swifty. So it was like, are you sure? Are you sure?
What were you about to say, Lauren?
So he was tired of Jensar. So he was tired of Wog too?
No, that's what I'm saying. He didn't communicate to me that he wanted Wog to die. He just benevolently said, hey, this is the way this thing has to be killed, and I'm gonna go do it.
Oh, yeah.
So
he died a hero.
He did.
I'm just upset that I got flack for damaging Jensar that one time, when he wanted to die anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that was like
early
episode.
I think that was too early. No, that's true.
Yeah.
But he didn't die, so it's fine.
Can we? Speaking of those early, can we talk about everyone's favorite duckling?
Oh yeah. So when Raven joined the show, obviously it was awesome. I loved Garrett Gridlock from Arc 1. Did you guys anticipate Raven playing his Arc 2 character David Threepwood the way he did?
I mean, he gave me a heads up. I just didn't. I don't know. I still didn't expect the intensity of the insanity moments, and I loved every second of it.
David Threepwood was an awesome character.
Just because it was because he didn't take any magic. Yeah, and it was like, this realm is all about the magic and the potency, and he's like, I have 20 potency, but only because your character starts off with 20 potency, so.
Yeah, that was very funny to watch him watch everyone else use magic in some way, and him to be trying to do it, but as a player he knew he couldn't, so he would just, I wiggle my hands and
if there was a boat here.
Yeah.
But the damage that he put down was insane.
Yeah, he there are certain things with certain characters where they come upon the thing that just works, For Brand it was Steam Blast. For Callisto, it's using the carpet to just shoot arrows vertically down into people's head. For Caden, it was using the Essence Axe to literally cut their enemy's health in half. For Nikina, it was bouncing around the battlefield using punchies from a distance. For David Threepwood, it was the meme. I just started a blasting. You know, just pew 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 pew.
I'm pretty sure I put that Danny DeVito gif in chat like all the time.
Every time.
All the time.
And David Threepwood, what do you do? Well, so I started blasting. My personal favorite moments from Arc 2 involve almost all of you and chat. My favorite moments was anytime someone redeemed Make My Monster Grow, because it was never just one.
And why didn't they ever make our characters grow?
I grew. Brand grew.
Yeah. So the first time it happened, they made an enemy grow and Brand, and then it was suddenly a freaking Godzilla fight.
Yeah, we had a kaiju battle. It was amazing.
And
I didn't know they could do that.
We were in a small enclosed room too, which made it worse. And the enemy had what is it? It did damage if you were next to it. It did fire damage per turn. It's like, because he grew, all of you are in range of this damage. And we're like, oh, this is it. We're gonna die.
Welcome.
Goodbye, everybody.
My favorite instance of Make My Monster Grow was when they made David Threepwood grow and he became a normal human-sized person.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
He doubles in size to a whopping 6 foot tall.
Mecha David Threepwood.
Yeah. So going through the rest of this, we're going to get to a portion in 1 second about the old where are they now. At any point, I know you guys distrusted Belfeath a lot. At any point, did you suspect that he was not Belfeath anymore?
No. I was just trying to be antagonistic.
Okay.
I just thought he was out for his own whatever, and we were just his pawns.
Yeah, I didn't understand, and I thought the way he raised Nicanor was horrible.
That
I
was
just didn't like it.
the funnest thing about
Why am I working for
Nicanor
him?
is I realized almost pretty much I knew from the get-go when David and I discussed what their relationship would be like, you've been with him the longest, because that established Nicanor being in the Azure long enough to be able to use the new skill set. So I immediately was like, oh, I'll just have like the really, really horrible abusive relationship as my basis for dark comedy of just Nicanor doesn't understand this is a bad relationship. And finally, at the moment he kind of understands this isn't cool, is the moment where Belfeath starts acting differently, and then that confuses him more, which led to a lot of, and then to find out at the very end of everything, like, yeah, the reason he was different is because he wasn't Belfeath anymore.
Yeah.
It was just so much.
I really loved how dark a turn that took, because it really was bad. So, where are they now? With the end of Arc 2, we see the Associates disbanded. You have killed Belfeath, you've killed the Vakarbon, you have served directly the Outcast King, and he offers you each a seat at his table of leadership, and some of you took it, some of you didn't. Let's hear what your characters do in the immediate, what they are doing 2 to 3 years from now, and what happens 5 to 10 years from now for your character. So, does anyone have anything already somewhat solidified in their minds?
I'm curious because I know Flynn said he was going to do something that I am very curious to see if you allowed it to succeed.
What?
I was going to try to bring back Belfeath.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was going to try to recover his essence.
So, from a mechanic standpoint, no. You can try, and that's very benevolent of you to do. However, because of the way essences and all that work, it doesn't exactly work. There would need to be some remnant of it for that to happen. but because of how everything went down when their essences swapped, there's nothing left of him. His the body is effectively just a container for someone else's essence. It'd be no different if you use shape change, basically, at this point.
William?
Sorry.
So if they swapped essences, I couldn't go get the other guy's body to get the essence out of that. I just figured that Belfie's essence is somewhere, right? It's somewhere out there.
Oh, okay. I'm with you now. I'm with you. All right. So I'm not going to weigh in on that. I'm going to allow that to be a limited edition one-shot. The Search for Belfieth, featuring Flynn.
Making a way on a buddy cop journey.
Yeah, I'm okay with that if you're okay with that.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Well, in the short term, Callisto is trying to grow some cocoa beans, make chocolate. She's pretty much ignoring everything else.
You're just in your greenhouse. This has got to work. It's got to.
So does that mean she's creating artificial weather inside of the Azure to support her non-Azurian crop?
Yes.
Probably. She's probably like reading off spells off of her body, has no idea.
The most
Just trying to
dangerous
keep
part
it
of this is
raining or whatever.
Yeah.
This is the equivalent of a drug addict deciding to try and like create their own drugs.
It's the Azure's version of Honey Pot's Pie Shop.
Oh my goodness, yes.
This is the
She starts
Azurian
peddling it to the
Breaking
natives.
Bad.
Yeah, make pies before you know it. Yeah.
She becomes the Willy Wonka of the Azure.
That was my goal.
She goes and captures
You live in a big
chocolatiers
mansion.
from Erethe.
Yeah.
Great idea.
It's all lamb kai. She just brings a bunch of lamb kai back.
And that's how Flynn gets his gets to know the
His
others
friend.
of his
There you
species.
go.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
This
so I
is
guess
the
it's
Lamb
long
Kai
term.
are your Oompa Loompas.
That's what, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Such a picture of lamb kai now, with orange faces and green hair.
They're not all
I mean,
like
we-
that.
We did
All
establish
the Oompa
that
Loompas
there
or
is
the
some
lamb kai?
The
different
Lamb Kai.
coloring.
Yeah. But you can all have them wear lederhosen. Yeah, that'll be
There
fun.
you go.
What about Brand? I know you had some significant plans for Brand.
Some regicide.
Yeah, Brand she wasn't gonna try to take on.
Someone just had an idea. Jordan,
didn't do
what
it.
broke?
Work.
I may have dropped a metal ruler. I'm sorry.
Cool.
Oh.
And I considered she'd definitely go after her mother because her mother's stupid enough she feels like can take over the ice. The Flame King not as much, and he did teach Brand like the spells that she needed as far as using fire, so she's like but honestly I really feel like Brand would just kind of march in and get her mom to wander off into the Azure somewhere and just lose her way, kind of,
Hey, Ma, look,
and
a
just
cookie.
take over. Yeah.
And just ease it into the wilderness.
She does the E.T. Reese's Pieces trail.
Yeah.
Like you're saying you wouldn't kill your mom?
No, I don't think she'd kill her. I think she'd just
just
let her
wouldn't save
wander
her.
off. Yeah.
But she could wander back.
But to Brand's defense, that's exactly how she got lost for so long. So
That's what I feel like it's poetic justice as far as like you lost me and you never like found me again, so get lost.
Turnabout is fair play.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll go hook up with your daddy.
Ooh. Oh, hey
You
there,
really-
Flame King. How you doing?
Little does Brand know that her mom's a tactical strategist. That's the only thing that's like the one thing she's good at is battles.
She overthrows the Flame King somehow.
Hey, Brand, it's me, Mom. Good news.
Dear.
What about Nikina? What's the immediate future look like for Nikina?
So, as we had talked about, Nikina's primary interest at first was helping Flynn with his endeavor, just because Nikina's still trying to deal with all the shenanigans that happened in that relationship with Belfi. But I think we lightly talked about it in the after show last week. The desire would be for Nikina to fill that power gap, because someone is going to. It might as well be someone who has been mistreated by power and knows, wants to make a positive correction and help out people in a way that he wasn't. And so Nikina will have established the Belfi Arcane Research Facility.
No, not the barf. As soon as you started reading it, I saw your eyes look over. I was like, he made an acronym.
You'll notice as soon as we went, if you look back in the VOD here, when the question started, I had a realization at the acronym, and my eyes lit up, and then the screen lit up as I opened Word to type it out, so I wouldn't forget. Thought you'd appreciate it.
That was wonderful. So, what about not the immediate future? What does down the road look like for each of your characters?
Well, now that I've thought about it, Callisto does not reconnect with the world. She's just surrounded by her Lamkai.
She's Willy Wonka,
brewing up chocolate 24, just trying everything she can.
One day she'll realize she needs to pass on to an heir. She'll have a contest because that's fun. And
yeah.
Then one lucky poor child.
I mean, imagine if I could get a factory running with chocolate through my pipelines.
Actually, the old Steam Fortress would probably be a great place to make chocolate.
There you go. Currently
occupied by the Flame King's army, so you could have someone to melt the chocolate.
Yeah, perfect. So that's what she's doing.
Then you can work with Brand on using cooling technology for shipping logistics.
There you go.
Dry ice packing.
Yeah.
And that might even work, because I could see Bran trying to make some sort of alliance between the two kingdoms now that she can control both elements.
Yeah.
Chocolate Empire, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
So, what about everyone else's character? What's the long-term have in store for your character?
I think aside from the helping,
the barf.
Yes, outside of operating barf, Nikina, in that same vein, kind of with the same organization, I thought that occurred is there's a lot of dangerous, terrible, random stuff in the Azure, and it would be nice, essentially the Azure equivalent of like park rangers, like a force to be out there and help rescue people that might get put in a bad situation, or at the same time still try and keep the balance of nature a little bit.
Does that mean you're gonna enlist the services of the Azurian rider, Calvin Owen?
I mean, if he applied. I don't think Nikina and Calvin actually talked in that episode.
I don't think so. I think it was
Nikina was too busy singing.
Oh yeah. What about we have Callisto's surrounded by her Oompa Loompas in solitude. What about Flynn and Brand? What do they got going on long term?
Oh, I see.
Flynn is he's a henchman for life. He doesn't ever want to rule anything. He just wants someone to pay him, and he just goes out and does a job. So he can literally be working for anyone for any reason, given his loyalties to whoever
number
pays
2
him.
position at Barf.
As long as Bart pays well.
Well, there you go.
I mean, we're directly under the king, so you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I can listen to him.
So,
Definitely passing on the fighting and healing skills that he learned throughout his life.
so I'll explain in a little while what happens to Sog, because there's a little lore that happens there that's important. But as far as Arc 2 in its entirety goes, we had a handful of guests that were able to pop in and reprise roles or take on some roles. Who was your favorite guest character? Not necessarily the person, but the character they played.
I mean, I don't want to besmirch any of the wonderful actual guests we had, but Raven being back for the finale was my favorite. But that's sorry, I couldn't help myself.
I figured you'd say that.
I squealed like a little schoolgirl. I was so happy.
Yeah. What about everyone else?
I definitely enjoyed having Raven back at the end, but there was the sort of, I don't even know if she was evil or what her deal was. The person that we met up with, and we ended up sieging that one place that we ended up taking over.
Vantrika?
Starts with a Z. Oh, V. Yeah, that's it. Vantrika.
Yep.
Yeah,
Ventricle.
that character has some depth to it in the sense that I had no idea whether or not that character was ever on our side at any point in time.
Yeah.
It's like, so is Vantrika with us or no?
So when we were developing, so I knew I needed a character that was an operative that you guys needed to go save, who would have the intel you needed. And when I was writing what I wanted that NPC to be like, I realized I needed someone who was not me to be suspicious of you guys and like not able to trust you all easily. And so we've had.
Did I ever lie to you?
Steph did a really great job portraying that for multiple reasons. One, she is a seasoned role player in Arcmaster, or Dungeon Master, and so she kind of knows how to develop NPCs and like that and gives them some depth. But then also her being given like not a lot of info, but like what her character would know, and jumping in on a persistent campaign was the absolute right amount of I don't know about these random people who are in this fortress for no apparent reason. Seems a little too good to be true. But watching that interaction between you all was so fun for me. Oftentimes when I can just sit back and watch, it's always great, but that in particular were some really cool moments. And then as far as the Azure Queen, Alva Slog.
I was trying to think of her name. It was like the Queen.
Yes, everyone knows her as the Queen. We had Beholder to No One, their podcast, jump on, and one of the things that I loved about that character was that Nikki did such a great job portraying the benevolent leader who knew her power level but chose not to lean into it too hard. You know, like that was really cool to go back and forth with her to get that interaction to happen. On that note, though, today I received the first draft of the book about that character. Yeah. So all of our cast members will get a copy to read through at their leisure if they would like, and we will send it off for editing and all that fun stuff. But it is really cool. Andrew Bradfute, who is our content director, did a great job writing it, and I'm super stoked to be sharing that when it's ready. So with the last kind of 20 minutes, I want to do a little something that I couldn't do with Arc 1's episode 50. Arc 2.5 is going to be run by Dion, and then we will start Arc 3 once that is finished. Dion has already written and developed and has concepts for Arc 2.5. What I'd like to do is, Dion, if you're up for it, kind of give our listeners and our viewers just a synopsis of what we can expect for Arc 2.5. Maybe a little, just a little, hey, here's what episode 1 intro's like. And then I'm going to do the same thing for Arc 3, if that's okay.
Sounds good to me. So in Arc 2.5, I want to, I'm going to have everybody playing a legendary character. So I've created these legendary characters that are really powerful, and they're in the midst of trying to accomplish some task. Okay. And you'll find out more about that task, obviously, next week. And when they play these characters, they're not their characters per se. And then for the remaining episodes beyond that, we're going to go to their characters, who I have to sync up. Like, some of them already know each other, but others in that character cast do not know each other. And they're going to be doing things, and they're going to be meeting characters that I think everybody's going to find quite interesting. In fact, they will meet people from Arc 1.
I am stoked about that.
Actually, one of the characters from Arc 1 is in the cast, right? So that's going to be, I think you guys are going to get a kick out of it. And as far as Lauren's concerned, you're welcome to participate in as much as you want to participate. I think there's parts of this arc that you personally would have found sad anyhow.
Oh no!
Oh, no.
What are you saying? Don't play. Stay away.
No, I'm saying play. But I'm just saying there will be some things in here that you probably wouldn't be too happy with. At least there will be at least one incident in here that I can guarantee you would be happy with. In fact, I don't know if anybody in the cast is going to be happy with it, to be honest with you. It's probably going to leave a bad taste in people's mouth.
I mean,
but there's going to be so much other great stuff.
We run into Pax, and Pax dies again.
Or maybe
If only it was that simple.
Yeah.
I mean, if something horrible is going to happen, the perspective of one of the characters is unreliably skewed.
True. So, with our remaining 15 minutes, we have I'll give you a quick synopsis, the intro, the prologue to Arc 3, but it requires going back to, where is Sog now? Sog is what Wog was before he was turned into Wog. And as we saw, Dion playing Flynn resurrected Sog, who is inevitably going to find his way back to Erethe. And he will be brought in as one of the characters for Arc 3, which is centered around a very powerful sorcerer named Vezifal. He was a gifted sorcerer, and after many centuries of study, he had mastered many fields of magical practice and developed many powerful spells. Through adventures and architectural journeys to discover artifacts, Vezifal came upon a method of attaining a version of immortality. He spent many more years gathering supplies, practicing, and preparing for the ritual. At long last, Vezafal had become a lich. With his newfound power, Vezafal began hoarding wealth and gathering followers. He spent his time ravaging cities and destroying those who opposed him. After decades of this, he decided to settle down and sequester himself away to the study of potency. He appointed a regent to manage his tower and his various projects. After a while, Lich Vezafal felt that it was time to invest in a project he has only dreamed of until now. He wanted to build a dungeon. Lich Vezafal instructed a regent to hire everyone he needed to build and maintain a dungeon. Lich Vezafal's hope was to attract heroes to the dungeon. In doing so, he planned to funnel the accumulated wealth and gear from the heroes back into the dungeon itself and other projects. Over the course of the initial build, though, Vezafal's attention moved to other interests, making his regent's sole purpose the development and management of the Lich's dungeon. The regent, being instructed that the dungeon is a zero-waste dungeon, has decided to bring on a host of interns on board to help keep the dungeon running smoothly as they prepare to begin development on a lower level. The heroes are the interns in a corporately run dungeon.
Nice.
Oh, hey there.
And Sog will be one of those interns. One of the things I decided, by the way, for the first episode of Arc 3, and I will give you no information as to what this will be about, the introduction of your characters will be the last interview question in your internship interview.
Wait, say that again?
You know how for an internship you gotta have to do that initial interview? You will be asked the final question of the interview with no context whatsoever. And it will be
5 years.
yeah, not even that. It's going to be something a little bit more simple, like what can you bring to the dungeon as an organization? Something stupid like that, where it's fill in the blank. Good luck.
I gotta keep my immediate response inside just in case I get asked it.
I have to think of something bigger than chocolate.
Yeah.
Oh, you're definitely getting asked it. He's telling us that he's going to be asking us this.
Oh, I think the question's gonna vary between us, though.
Yeah, it will be not anything that you can probably think of right now.
If you were a fruit.
Now, because we're doing it this way for Arc 3, and I think we've all kind of loosely discussed it, but to put it on record, Arc 3 will all be able to play monstrous characters as quote-unquote bad guys, but again, you just live and work in a dungeon, so it'll be fun. I was explaining to my oldest this evening the concept, and I was like, it'd be like if you were on your home planet, you know, you're not a human, you're some kind of alien, and then a random box made of metal lands on your front lawn. Some guy in green armor jumps out and starts shooting at you, like if you were the Covenant from a Halo game.
Oh.
Yeah. So that'll be fun. I'm excited for it. Now, as we finish up here, I have one final question. What would you like to see happen to your characters should we come back to revisit them?
Remembering some of those spells.
Okay. Let's say they were immortalized in a book about the Azure, maybe the expansion. Where would your characters be in a book like that?
Oh, my character could be anywhere in that book as sheep, as the loyal henchman, right? There's always some guy that's just paid to do X job. whether it's stand in front of this door and make sure no one enters, or
What if Flynn has created an organization of henchmen and is like a placement?
He's
Kinda-
the like DoorDash of henchmen.
Yeah. Eliminated.
DoorDash.
Henchman? All right, I got you covered here. So what skill sets do you need the henchman to have?
Okay, so you need
HR.
the ranger.
Your zip
with some
recruiter for
tracking. Okay.
henchmen.
That could work. I can see Flynn doing something like that.
That would be very funny. What about everyone else? Brand, I'm assuming, is Ice Queen.
Well, I feel like if we're gonna dream big, like she'd be trying to take over as many kingdoms as possible. So like ice and fire for sure. You know, maybe send Goric out as her regent to the Rock Kingdom. I mean, why stop there?
Yeah.
Like, is it just limited though to the world of elementals? Is that where you're starting your focus? Is to capture and control all of the elemental lands?
Brand's
I
gonna
mean,
be a
you've got
mogul.
You like start where she's like kingpin, basically.
Oh my God,
You gotta
I
start where you put relationships, you know?
I'm gonna reference our one shot. Brand is gonna be responsible for the creation of Admiral Azure. She will unite all of the elements and then create the powerful being, and that
There
is
you go.
Captain Planet.
Admiral Azure. We don't want to get sued.
Looting and polluting is not the way.
So where are these heart Elementox? What would be a heart Elementox?
Those are the Lamkai that are making the chocolate.
Yeah.
Wind, water, child labor.
Chocolate?
Made in chocolate.
Demonic child labor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it really child labor?
It's really gonna just become
No.
a slurm factory from
Technically
Futurama.
not,
There you
but
go.
technically yes.
What is Callisto's placement in this in the book? What is her title? What is she doing?
Antagonist. She's gonna question everything because she remembers nothing. So she's always got to be wondering if someone's lying to her.
Get your
Would
memory
you
back.
see her as the Fate Spinner?
Ooh.
There's an opening there. Rumor has it the previous person in that position was brutally murdered.
He didn't see it coming.
Oh no.
Apparently he did, because he had a contingency for it.
Yep. And Nikina is now the head of the Augury Vestige.
And Barf.
Barf is not making it in the book.
Yeah,
Barf
I'm
for
like,
life,
Barf.
baby.
What did that stand for? What did Barf stand for again?
The Belfieth Arcane Research Facility.
Hey, Callisto would be against that.
You know what would be funny is to watch Callisto give people their tell people their fortune, like be a fortune teller, but she doesn't know, so she has to do her own every time she does somebody else.
Oh yeah.
She doesn't know who she is really.
You're a great fortune teller.
Let's test this out. Let's see, Nikina, can you ask Callisto about your fate?
Hey, Callisto. Could you stuff happens to people? Could you tell me what that stuff that happens to people is to me?
You will become wise.
How?
That I do not know, but I can see it. A lot of barf in your future.
Just starts licking his hand.
Well, this has been enlightening. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for listening. Everybody on our cast, thank you so much for making this game so much fun and making each episode week to week so memorable. Sorry, all I'm thinking about is Barf and the bees are coming out. Next week, we will begin Arc 2.5, helmed by Dion. Dion, how much Roll20 map do you need on stream?
So I have a map for the episode coming up. There's going to be some areas that I do not have a map for, and I was going to wing it. And we're going to do that. We're going to do that verbally. So
Okay.
it'll probably be more of a pleasurable experience for the podcast listeners, actually, when we do that. And the reason that I'm doing that is because we're going to be visiting places that you've had maps for in the past, and I don't want to duplicate. I don't want to have to go through there and try to rebuild all of that stuff. It'll just be easier to just talk through some of the sites that you guys have been to in the past.
Cool. We we'll talk later, but for Arc 3, I'm thinking about doing a little bit more like we're doing this interview. But we'll get to that point when we get there. So we will see you guys next week for the exciting first episode of Arc 2.5. We are not going to hang out in chat. We're going to play our exit video and be on and about our day. So everybody, I hope you have a great week, and we will see you next week when we get all the things together and you can finally watch us all be silly.
I mean, no one asked me about my tiara the whole time.
You're just used to you at this point, so my question is...
Oh, I've become predictable.
It's been an hour and a half and you are literally right. We never asked you about the tiara. All right, good night, everybody.